Okay, so today is a bit of a sad day. I have officially left Canon and I've moved to Fuji. This has been a tough decision for me. It hasn't been something that I've taken lightly. I've just been hit with so many hurdles with my system that I needed something better and something else that I can grow with, because the camera system that I was using was just very limiting for me. And I'm sad to see it go. By the way, it's not this camera. I am keeping this camera. This is my Canon 5D Mark IV. I use this for my photography. The camera we are replacing is my video setup, and that video setup is my Canon M50 that I've been using since I got into YouTube back in, I think it was September or time, or maybe November. I'd done my first video when I was up in Calgary. I will link to that up above. You can go and check that out. You can see how I've changed as well, how the production quality has changed if you go through some of my recent videos. So yeah, this camera has taught me a heck of a lot. I've grown so much. I've always thought that this camera would, be adequate for me. I just needed something that was nice and simple, that wouldn't be too complicated. My new camera is very complicated. It's got a lot of features on it that I just don't quite understand, but I'm sure I will learn. But yeah, some of the main things that I was having real problems with is the crop factor on this camera. It is an APS-C, so you've got the 1.6 times crop factor. That makes my 10mm lens on here a 16mm lens. But when you shoot in 4K, it does an additional 1.6 times crop, so it makes this lens a 26mm lens on the widest end, which for when I'm making my videos has really limited me on what I can record, how I can record. It's not the fastest lens as well. When I first got onto YouTube, I was just using this lens, and since I was using just 1080, it was fine. But as soon as I went to 4K, I needed something wider. It was just too tight. So this is my infrared camera. My other M50 that I was using for video has gone. That went a couple weeks ago when I sold it to my local pawn shop, and they gave me a really good deal on it that I couldn't refuse. And that money has gone towards this new camera system. So yeah, and the build quality of this isn't the best. It's really plasticky. It's not weather sealed or anything, so it's been sort of a concern of mine. So I have actually dismissed doing certain shoots in certain locations because of the weather. I didn't want to ruin it because it was my main video camera. Also, monitoring the audio on this isn't great. The only way you can do it is when you've got in the quick menu or the main menu. You can't view it when you have the display on. So as you can see now in video mode, and there's no indication of the audio levels right there. The only way for me to do so is in that area there. You can see it just selecting my voice right there. And then another way is just going into the menus as well and then selecting audio there. That is my only way, but with my new camera I can control all of that from the main, when I'm in live view and everything, which is fantastic, and there's so much more for me to play around with. So now let's get into my new camera. My new camera of choice is the Fuji X-T4, and I'm really looking forward to doing some videos on this. I bought this camera used from Camera Electronics on Murray Street. I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. So yeah, went into the city. I wanted to have a look at Fuji cameras. I wasn't sure what the lenses were going to be like. I wanted to have a sort of a feel of the camera systems. I went around to the stores just to have a little bit of a play. There were no real Fuji cameras. I don't think any had the X-T5. They only had some of the other ones. I think it was the I don't know what it is. Something 20, SX20. And that wasn't really what I wanted. It didn't really work for what I wanted. I wanted something nice and chunky, and also could use it for stills photography. And lenses, there weren't really many lenses around available, so there were a few for the GFX system. But yeah, so I ended up I went to Ted's at first, didn't really have much in there. Then I went to Camera Electronics, and but I said I'm looking at getting a X-T4, and they went, oh, we've just had someone who's actually just traded in or sold us an X-T4. It's out the back. Would you want to have a look at it? And I went, oh yeah, I would love to. And I said, I'm looking at getting one that's black, and they said, oh, this one's black as well. And I'm going, oh, fantastic, maybe this is meant to be. So they got it out the back there, and they couldn't sell it to me then and there because it's just been sold to them, so I had to wait 2 weeks, and I had no idea as well what it was going to cost me, or what they were going to sell it to, what it was going to be listed for and everything. I was expecting around $3,000 anyway. So they weren't able to tell me then and there. They had to do some calculations and stuff. So yeah, this is the camera, if I haven't already shown you. And yeah, it is just immaculate, pretty much mint condition, and it should be, because when I got home I found out this has only taken 3 photos in its lifetime. The previous person who purchased this camera from the store wanted to get into photography, and I don't think they liked it, or maybe they just didn't have the passion for it, and they ended up selling it back to Camera Electronics at a huge loss, I suspect. But yeah, this is just immaculate, and it came with the, I'm just trying to pick up the right lens because I've got 2 lenses now. It came with the 16 to 80mm lens. This is equivalent to about a 24 or is it 25 to 120mm. So it is still a 16 to 80mm lens, but due to the crop factor, it gives a field of view of about 24 to 120, so it gives a nice sort of range there. And we do have IS in that lens, and we do have in-body stabilization with this, so I think we get about 6 stops, or is it 7 stops of IS, or in-body stabilization, which is really cool. So it's going to work really well when I want to do some handheld video stuff, which is fantastic. It's got a lot more controls on here. If I go into it, I think the quick menu, hang on, try and get into it. I'm still getting used to this, so I've got a lot of access to controls there. If I go into the menu, I've got also film simulations as well. I've got some across film in my case down here for my Bronica, and I can actually do some film simulations there for the Acros, and I can put a red filter effect on it, allow me to have a little bit of a play in the garden. Here are some of the images I've taken with it, and I'm just blown away by the JPEGs that are coming out of this camera. I didn't do any editing to those photos as well. It's just how it came out of the camera, and I've managed to set this camera up now. I was spending a lot of time last night, building it up and working out how to change things, because when I got this camera, it was not working for me. I was not happy with it, but now I've gotten it up to a point where I'm happy with it. I'm able to zoom in by actually just tapping on the dial at the back here. It zooms in 100% on the image, and it works as well for playback as well. It's got a lovely little joystick right here. I think some of the other cameras didn't, so it's nice to have that little control there. Also, if I want to shoot stills, I've got my own settings there, and I don't want to change it like that. That's what happens with the M50. If I went from video to stills, I had to change it. It dragged the same settings over. But with the Fuji, it's got its own menu and it's got its own settings. So yeah, if I'm shooting different shutter speeds, different film simulations or whatever, it will, keep them saved if it's stills or video. It doesn't bring them across, which is fantastic. The battery life, I have had a little bit of a test around with this. It doesn't last as long as the M50, but I do have some additional batteries. So I've got some small rig batteries. Now I'm not affiliated with small rig at the time of recording. I purchased this out of my own money, and everything you will see in this video is actually purchased out of my own money. I just bought a lot of things used. So yeah, these are the batteries. They're 2040 amp hours or milliamp hours. This is the charger. It's a USB charger. It actually works really nicely. I've charged the batteries up this way. It does come with a little USB cable on there, which is all built in. As you can see there, it stows away quite nicely there. And it does also have a USB-C connection right here. It's a fantastic camera, lovely build quality. It's going to be able to deal with the harsh conditions that I'm going to be putting it through. I might take it on some hikes and stuff as well, which will be fantastic. So I have a nice lightweight camera system. Now I could use my 5D Mark IV as my lightweight camera system, but it'd be nice to have a little a mirrorless system, and I can charge this by USB-C. So, you know, I could put it into my camera bag, connect to my power bank up to it, and charge my camera as I'm, you know, walking on the trails. I am thinking of this being the camera that I take with me on the plane when I go back to England, and my 5D Mark IV and my Canon system goes in with my other belongings, which will be coming over on the ship. So I am really tempted by that, and what I will be doing in an upcoming video, and I don't know when it will be, it's either the next video or the video after that. I'm actually going to be going away tomorrow, and I'm going to go and have a play with this camera, and this will be my stills camera for the trip, and I will be using my 5D Mark IV in 1080, because the 4K files out of this thing are just huge, and I go from it, and I'll go through memory cards and storage in no time. So yeah, so this will be recording my videos. I'll be using my 24 to 105, 24 to 105, which has an STM motor, so you won't hear the autofocus. So it's going to work really well, and it's got really good video controls on that camera, though the X-T4 has more. I have put a L bracket on this. This is made by Small Rig. I really like their L brackets. It's just nice and simple. It's lightweight. They're cheap enough. I think I paid $100 for this. I do like the bit of wood. It just gives it a nice warm feeling in the hands after a while. I do find with some of the metal it can be a bit oily, but yeah, this is nice. I've got it on my M50, as you can see there. I think it's sort of aged a little bit over time, so it's going to be darker, where this one is a bit more light. Though I am thinking about possibly applying some stain to this thing, sort of sanding it back a little bit, exposing the wood, and then putting a bit of stain on there, but I'm not too sure. But it does look beautiful. I've got my focus controls here. I've got my PC sync port here, which has got the little cover over the top there. I've assigned this one here to be my aperture preview button, so I can press that down, and when I press it down, it actually keeps the aperture preview on. Where my 5D, you know, you press the aperture preview button, it just goes away as soon as you release it. The controls are lovely. Oh yeah, I needed a screen that would come out to the side, and this does, so I can see what I'm doing. I can see that the camera's recording, and I can see that within the frame. Dual card slot as well, which is really handy, and it's SD card as well. I've got a 32 gig card in there at the moment. If I turn the camera on, full size RAW, I get 543 images on it. And if I shoot in video, 38 minutes of video in 4K, 25 frames a second, and yeah, it's just a lovely readout on that display, as you can see there. And there's just so much more that I can play around with in the menu system for everything, and it's just, yeah, it's just loaded with stuff, which I love. But it does mean it's complicated. It's going to take me a bit of learning. Really looking forward to getting out there this weekend, or it's Thursday tomorrow. By the time you'll see this, I'll be away, probably away from the internet as well, and I would have made a video already on this, and so that's something to expect for next week's video. So yeah, what else? Oh yeah, the lenses. I haven't gone over some of the lenses. So my lenses I've got for this camera, I've got that 16 to 80mm lens, the f4, and I've also got myself a 10 to 24mm f4. This is IS. It's a beautiful lens. They're really nicely made. They're metal construction, metal mounts, where my M50, they're plastic mounts, plastic everything. And yeah, these just feel like quality lenses, and the image quality from these is just superb, if I haven't already mentioned. This is a nice little lens. I paid, so yeah, if I haven't mentioned, for the X-T4 and the lens, I paid $2,200 for it. For this lens, I went to a photography market. They had some stalls there, where you could buy, where people were selling second-hand stuff and some new stuff. And I picked this up for $600. It's a bargain. When I picked it up, I thought it was in rougher condition, so I offered a lower price. They had it to $700. It wasn't until later on I realised this lens is in mint condition. It's absolutely superb. But that's the problem, you know, if you're selling gear, clean it up so it looks its absolute best. Otherwise, you know, it can cost you money, which, you know, I thought I was buying something that was a bit more beaten up than it is, and yeah, this just looks immaculate. I could sell this for $700 or $800 if I were to do it tomorrow, but I'm not. But yeah, I can also use my my FD glass on this camera. I've actually purchased an adapter. This is just a cheap thing off eBay, but it works, and I'm getting really nice images just from this. So yeah, expect to see me using vintage lenses on this camera in the future. Anyway, I'm going to let you be, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay, bye for now.